"Cindy, you're paying this right." My mother said it with a smile, like she was asking me to pass the salt instead of cover a $5,000 dinner I hadn't ordered. I stood at the end of a private dining table in my work coat, staring at 18 relatives I hadn't seen in 4 years. Filet mignon plates sat half empty in front of them. King crab shells were piled in silver bowls, lobster tails, truffle sides, cocktails, and a $500 bottle of champagne crowded the white tablecloth. My father didn't even stand up. "You made it," he said, checking his watch. "Good, we already ordered, we knew you wouldn't mind." A leather bill folder sat near my empty plate. I opened it just enough to see the total. $5,217.46. Before tip. My cousin leaned toward his wife and whispered, "Must be nice being the rich one now." That was when I called the server over and whispered 2 sentences. His eyes widened. Then he smiled. 20 minutes later, the manager came back with another man behind him, and my mother's smile disappeared. 4 days earlier, I had almost believed her. Her message came through while I was sitting in my car after work. "Your father and I are ready to talk. No drama, just us. Dinner Friday." After 4 years of no contact, those words hit harder than I wanted to admit. I was Cindy Morales, 29 years old, a financial compliance analyst who could question suspicious transactions all day without blinking, but one text from my mother still made my hands go cold. I replied with one question: "Who will be there?" She answered immediately: "Only us, we want to start over." So I came. And now I was standing in a steakhouse private room, while every person who had ever called me selfish watched me like I had been summoned to pay a debt. My mother, Denise, patted the empty chair at the head of the table. "Sit down, sweetheart, don't make this awkward." My father, Richard, finally looked at me, but only long enough to nod toward the bill folder. "Consider it a peace offering." I looked at the untouched place setting in front of me. No water, no menu, no meal, just a bill. Then I reached for the folder, closed it, and lifted my hand toward the server. "Evan," I said softly when he stepped closer. I whispered exactly 2 sentences. He glanced at my mother, then back at me. And for the first time that night, someone in that room looked relieved. The message that brought me there kept replaying in my head, while my mother's fingers tapped against her champagne glass. "Only us, we want to start over." I had read that sentence so many times that week I could almost hear her voice softening on purpose. Denise Morales knew how to make a lie sound like an apology. I had almost cancelled on Monday. Then again on Wednesday. By Friday morning, I was standing in my kitchen with my phone in my hand, staring at the reservation address like it might turn into a warning label. My best friend Maya had said, "Cindy, people who want accountability don't pick a restaurant before they say sorry." "I know," I told her. "Then why are you going?" I didn't have a clean answer. Part of me wanted to prove I was done being afraid. Another part of me still wanted parents who could look me in the eye and admit what they did. That was the part Denise had counted on. 4 years earlier, I left after my father accused me of ruining the family because I stopped covering the small emergencies that somehow never ended. Utility shutoffs, late fees, temporary car payments, medical copays that later turned out to be salon appointments and golf dues. Whenever I questioned it, my mother cried where people could see her. Then in private, she would corner me by the laundry room or the hallway and whisper, "After everything we sacrificed, this is how you repay us." So I learned to freeze. At the steakhouse, nothing felt like a reunion. My mother didn't hug me, she just smiled for the room and patted the chair beside her. My father glanced at his watch. "You're late," he said. "I'm 5 minutes early." He ignored that and took a sip of his drink. That was when I saw the small card propped near the centerpiece. Morales Family Celebration. Host Cindy. I stared at it. "I didn't make this reservation," I said. My mother's smile tightened. "Don't start." I kept my voice low. "Why does it say I'm the host?" Under the table, her hand closed around my wrist. "Hard. Do not embarrass me tonight," she whispered. For 1 second I was 22 again, sitting silent while she rewrote the truth in front of everyone. Then I pulled my wrist away. Her eyes flicked down to her empty hand, like she couldn't understand how I had moved without permission. I turned to my father. "Why does the reservation say I'm the host?" Richard's face hardened. "Because you are," he said. "Don't start acting confused." Across the table, my aunt stopped cutting her steak. My cousin looked at the bill folder, then at me, like he was waiting for the performance to continue. I looked at the untouched plate in front of me, the folded napkin, the unused glass, the bill already waiting before I had even ordered water. This dinner was never meant to include me. It was built around my name before I walked in. So what else had they put my name on? My mother lifted her champagne flute and tapped it with her fork. The sound was delicate, bright, and loud enough to make the entire private room turn toward her. "I just want to say something," Denise announced. My father leaned back like he already knew the speech by heart. My relatives straightened in their chairs. A few were smiling, a few looked uncomfortable. Evan, the server, froze near the sideboard with a stack of dessert menus in his hand. Denise turned her face toward me, but her voice was for everyone else. "Tonight is about forgiveness," she said. "It's about family. It's about finally letting go of resentment." My aunt murmured, "That's beautiful." I didn't move. Then my mother placed one hand over her chest. "And since Cindy has been so blessed financially, I think we should all thank her for treating the family tonight." The room shifted. A few relatives clapped because they didn't know what else to do. Someone laughed. My cousin raised his glass and said, "To Cindy finally remembering where she came from." My cheeks burned, but I didn't give them the reaction they wanted. Instead, I looked at Evan. "Can I see the itemized bill, please?" My mother's head snapped toward him. "She doesn't need that," Denise said quickly. "Just bring the card machine." Evan hesitated. I held his gaze. "The itemized bill," I repeated. He walked over and set the receipt in front of me. My mother's fingers tightened around her glass. I scanned the charges: filet mignon, king crab, lobster tails, 4 bottles of wine, champagne, private room fee, automatic gratuity. Then I saw a line near the top. Reservation deposit paid 2 weeks ago. Named C. Morales. Card ending in numbers I didn't recognize. I looked up. I didn't authorize a deposit. The clapping died completely. My aunt lowered her fork. "Denise, what does she mean?" My mother laughed too fast. "Oh, Cindy forgets things when she wants attention." My father's voice dropped. "Pay the bill, Cindy, don't make this ugly." But it was already ugly. Because now I understood one thing clearly: they hadn't just expected me to pay after I arrived. They had told the restaurant I was responsible before I ever said yes. Near the host's stand, the manager appeared for half a second, speaking quietly with another employee. Evan noticed me watching him. Then he looked at the receipt, then back at me, like there was something he had been waiting for me to ask. So I stood. My mother said, "Where are you going?" I walked to Evan and lowered my voice. "I only want to pay for what I personally ordered," I said. "Please bring your manager and check whether my name is attached to this reservation in your system." Evan's shoulders loosened. Then he smiled and said, "I was hoping you'd ask." When I returned to the table, my mother watched me like I had just locked a door she still needed open. My father's napkin was already on the table beside his plate. "What did you say to him?" Richard asked. I sat down slowly. I asked for clarification. That one word did something to the room. My cousin stopped smiling. My aunt reached for the bill folder before my mother could slide it away. My uncle leaned over her shoulder and read the itemized charges. "Denise," he said, frowning, "you told us Cindy wanted to make it up to everybody." My mother's eyes flashed. "This is not the time." "It is if I'm looking at $400 of crab I wouldn't have ordered." Across the table, another cousin pushed back her cocktail. "You said she insisted." The family chorus cracked, not all at once, just enough for silence to get in. Then Evan returned with the manager, Mr. Albright, a tall man in a dark suit holding a printed reservation record. "Good evening," he said. "I need to speak with the person who authorized the reservation guarantee." Before he finished, my mother pointed at me. "She did." I looked at him directly. "No, I didn't." Mr. Albright placed the paper on the table. My full legal name was on it, my old address, an email almost like mine but with one extra letter. The phone number belonged to my mother. The fake host card, the strange deposit, my father refusing to meet my eyes. Every piece clicked into place. Mr. Albright lowered his voice. "There's another concern. This account was flagged before tonight." My father's chair scraped backward. Denise snapped, "You have no right to discuss private billing in front of everyone." Mr. Albright didn't flinch. "We do when someone is disputing authorization and a $5,000 charge is being pushed onto them." I swallowed. "What do you mean flagged?" He looked from me to my father. "The account is connected to Morale's Premier Catering Supply." The name hit the table harder than the bill. My father stood abruptly. "We're leaving." But Evan stepped in front of the private room exit and said, "Sir, no one at this table is leaving until the bill is settled." Mr. Albright set the full reservation packet beside the bill. "No one needs to guess," he said. "The record is clear." My mother's face went pale. He pointed to the first page. 2 weeks ago, this private room was booked under Cindy Morale's name. The reservation notes say she was hosting a family reconciliation celebration and would be responsible for payment on arrival. My aunt turned slowly toward my mother. "Denise." My mother didn't answer. Mr. Albright continued. "The address listed here is Ms. Morale's previous address. The email is similar to hers but not exact. The phone number is registered to Denise Morale's." Every head at the table moved toward her. Then he tapped the deposit line. The deposit card was not Ms. Morale's card. It was tied to an old business account connected to Richard Morale's. My father's jaw tightened. Mr. Albright looked at him. That same business account was already flagged by our ownership because of an unpaid catering event several years ago. The room went completely still. That was when I finally spoke. 4 years ago, I said, I stopped talking to my parents because my name showed up on a restaurant equipment loan I never signed. My mother whispered, "Cindy, don't." But the words were already out. I found out when collections called me at work. They had my social security number, my old address, my employment information, and a signature that wasn't mine. It took months, an attorney, and a fraud affidavit to prove I didn't authorize it. My cousin lowered his glass without drinking. My father snapped, "That was a misunderstanding." I looked at him. "No, a misunderstanding is forgetting a birthday. Using your daughter's identity for your failed business is not a misunderstanding." Mr. Albright nodded once. The owner remembered the name because Ms. Morale's information appeared in the disputed paperwork from that account. When this reservation came in under her name, it was flagged. My mother suddenly pressed a hand to her mouth and started crying. "I can't believe you're humiliating me like this," she said. For once, no one moved to comfort her. My aunt's voice was sharp. "You told us Cindy offered to pay." Denise stared at the table. "You told us she wanted to make things right," my uncle added. My father slapped his palm down beside his plate. "Family business should stay private." A cousin pushed his chair back. "Not when you make us part of it." Mr. Albright took the leather folder, removed the first bill and printed a corrected one. "Ms. Morale's ordered nothing," he said. "Her total is 0. He placed a receipt in front of me. $0. Then he placed the corrected bill in front of my parents. Denise and Richard Morales are now listed as the responsible parties. My father pulled out the business card first. It declined. He tried again, declined. My mother dug through her purse with shaking hands and handed over 3 cards. The first declined. The second declined. The third covered part of the total, leaving the rest to be split among the people who had actually eaten. That was when the real fallout started. My aunt refused to look at my mother. My uncle muttered that he had been lied to. One cousin said, "You let us toast her while you were setting her up." My mother kept crying, but her tears no longer controlled the room. After that night, the restaurant filed a formal report over the disputed reservation and the prior unpaid account. I sent copies of everything to the attorney who had handled the old identity fraud claim. Richard's business accounts went under review again. Denise tried to rewrite the story in the family group chat before I even got home. I posted one image, the corrected receipt with my name and the total, $0. Then I left the chat. Some relatives apologized, some disappeared. I didn't chase either group. Months later, I had fraud alerts on my credit, a new phone number, and Sunday dinners with people who never treated love like an invoice. I kept that $0 receipt in a folder with my legal papers, not as revenge, but as proof. The night my family tried to make me pay for everything was the night I finally stopped paying for them. I came to that dinner expecting an apology, but I left with something better, the truth witnessed by everyone.